Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, reppin' both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire, misunderstood. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline greens, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. Rob hype on the mic, CP's the fire spark. Together they ignite, voices like the park. Fans dripped in jerseys, legacy bold. The Metropolitan story forever told. Turnstile spinning, the crowd floods the gates. This is family, no time for debates. Crack of the Batman, the roar never fades. Queens in the blood, it's how champions are made. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline gleams, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. 7-line swagger, vibes electric and wild. Mets legacy golden since I was a child. Orange crushed skies, let the battle ignite. Ride for the home team till the last fight.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Amazing Mets pregame show right here on the channel and on X. How is everybody doing on this Mother's Day Sunday, May 11th, as the Mets are looking to win a rubber game match to win the series against the Chicago Cubs? Hopefully everybody's doing good. Hopefully mothers are getting and expecting what they deserve to get on this Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, to my mother, your mother, everybody's mother, all over Mets Nation. How are you guys doing? I know it was a rough game yesterday, as the Mets were runners in scoring position has been a huge problem, and it continued yesterday against the Chicago Cubs. It was the Brett Beatty show yesterday with the 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, and that was the only offense the Mets could warrant up against the Cubs. But there's been talks already and conversations and a little bit of anger that Brett Beatty's not in the lineup today because, well, if you listen to Carlos Mendoza, he just said it on the Mets YouTube channel, his pregame press conference. He says he wants to use the entire roster. He wants to keep them fresh. That is what he talks about. This is not, again, this is the thing when it comes to lineup construction. And it doesn't have to be where the guys are in the lineup. It is about playing the hot hand with the bat. And Mendoza has done things this year that hasn't been totally about just matchups. It's been more about gut feeling and who he thinks deserves to play and who he thinks is going to do well against a pitcher, regardless of what the numbers say. And I just don't understand why Brett Beatty is not playing today. He's been having the best at-bats in this lineup, let's be honest. You know, other than Soto being mostly red hot for the last about 15, 16 games, Beatty has been the next best hitter. You know, Acuna has been solid as well, but overall, the run production, because, again, Acuna is not a run producer. He is a table setter, and which is perfectly fine. You need those guys on your team. But Beatty has been a guy that's been driving the ball. So it's continuing to be the same thing that I get frustrated with Carlos Mendoza. Listen, I don't care where these guys bat in the lineup, right? I like the 1, 2, and 3. I don't think you should mess with something that's working. But 4 through 9 is not working. So you got to mix and match guys in different spots in the lineup until somebody figures it out, right? Vientos is back in the lineup. He's playing third base. He's batting in a cleanup spot. That's where he should be. Stop making excuses for a guy. He's not 22 years old. He's what, 26, 27? He's more than old enough to realize that he needs to be the guy in the cleanup spot. Because if you have Vientos doing his job in the cleanup spot, you got Nimmo batting 5th. And I think Nimmo, even though I rather him at the top of the order, he's not going in the top of the order. Nimmo doesn't fit in the top of the order with this team anymore. He's got to be the 5 hitter. Nimmo's got to figure out to be the 5 hitter. That's just how it goes. Unfortunately, Beatty's not in the lineup today. That frustrates me, right? Why not just DH Beatty today over Marte? Why not just do that? I understand you want Vientos to go back into the lineup and play the field because technically he is your starting third baseman. Okay, I get that. You're not taking Acuna into the lineup. I get that as well. DH Brett Beatty. If he looks bad against the lefty, against Matthew Boyd, all right, you pinch hit him in the 5th or 6th inning with Marte. Why not? Give the kid a chance. Like, I don't like the fact that, like, why do you think Brett Beatty can't hit left-handed hitters? You know why? Because they always take him out of the game. They don't play him against left-handers. It's hard to hit left-handers when you're not playing. So I don't like it at all. It's annoying, right? Luis Torrens is playing not because Alvarez has been playing like shit. It's because it's a day game after a night game, and you don't play catchers day game after a night game. You just don't. So Torrens is playing. Not because Mendoza wants him in the lineup. It's because you're giving your catcher a day off. Right? Acuna and Taylor got to be in the lineup every day. I like that. And Dola, I did hear about the Luis Roberts Jr. rumors. I am going to be doing a video about that later today, so check that out. That's going to be very interesting. And again, I think that would be a smart move because you know who would. And again, Luis Roberts can play center field. You know what I would do that's drastic? I would move Tyrone Taylor to left field, even though they might put Luis Roberts to left field and leave Tyrone Taylor in center field, but it gets Nimmo off the field, and I would DH Nimmo every single day. Every single day. I would do that. Now, again, we'll see how it's developing here. I put together a video, but I have to change some things because there's been more reports coming out about what it's going to take to get Luis Robert to the Mets, but that's in time. It might happen quickly. Again, I would love for Stearns to do that. I think that makes a lot of sense. Me and Chris talked about that, multiple times during the offseason. Why not go and get him? It's not like the White Sox are going anywhere. And Luis Roberts just stuck in no man's land over there. And I think coming to a team that's actually good and has, guys around them in the lineup that are actually good could change his whole way of approaching a game and at bats and just coming to the ballpark every day. It's a huge difference. So that would be very interesting. So, yeah, well, Hunter, that's a wrong comment because the Mets are 6 games over 500 against teams over 500, right? They swept the Phillies. They won a series against the Diamondbacks. They also lost a series against the Diamondbacks. They win today. They win another game, another series against a team that's over 500. So they haven't been bad against teams over 500, right? And Hunter, I'm assuming you're probably a Yankees fan because you sound like one. Actually, the Cardinals, that I think they've won 7 in a row, they're a 500 team. So, oops. Yeah, I know you're a Yankees fan. The Yankees have played nobody this year. The Yankees have nobody in the American League that are any good. So you play bad teams every single day. Hunter, we will come and get swept on the 18th, but the Yankees will be swept because you're not a very good team. Like, you're not. You don't play no good teams. Who's a good team? Name the good team you played. You finally played the Padres. Congratulations. Right? The Padres have been frauds for a long time. So it's okay. You can be a Yankee fan. That's fine. But let's not act like the Yankees played anybody. Or they're playing in an easy division. They're playing in an easy American League. There's like one other good team, and that's the Detroit Tigers in the American League. So come on now. Like, stop it. Like, you played well against the Padres. Fine, but I always thought the Padres are frauds. They never show up when the lights are bright. Is what it is. So the good news is that the Mets have an opportunity to win a ball game today and win another series. That's where we got to concern ourselves today, right? What is the main issue? Hasn't been the issue, right? Hasn't been the issue. The pitching has been perfectly fine. And it's funny because the last couple of series, it's been Griffin Canning who's been trying to, who gets stuck in a rubber game to try to win a series. So lucky for him. Guys, you can handle him. I know you guys can. I'm not going to waste my breath on a Yankees fan. It's a waste of time. So overall, right, it's the story of 2 games in this series so far. The Mets played extremely well in game one, where the Cubs looked like a bad team. Errors, bad at-bats, bad base running. And then the Mets yesterday couldn't hit. They kind of made some plays where it's like, you should have made that. So it comes down to this game where it's like, all right, you got a lefty on the mound. I don't like the fact that, you're sitting one of the hotter bats in your lineup. And again, I love how Met fans are coming to Beatty's defense when nobody really, some of you guys did, but most of you don't like Beatty at all. So it comes to the fact that get the job done. Right. And it's frustrating for Mendoza. I know why Mendoza is frustrated, because after the from 4 all the way down to 9, where's your cleanup hitter? Vientos should be it. Nimmo, God forbid, take him out of the cleanup spot every day of the week. But Vientos needs to be the guy. And Mendoza is trying to figure out and fight through who is going to be a cleanup hitter. So, unfortunately, nobody has stepped up and done that yet. I would love for it to be Vientos. I mean, he is the guy that needs to be that, but we just can't do anything about that. So, oh boy, I tell you guys, sometimes I wonder. Like you would think the Yankees, who are a couple of games over 500, barely winning their NL East in a bad division, you would think they would worry about the Yankees. Like, don't worry about the Mets. Worry about them on next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. How about that? Next weekend. Worry about them then, right? My concern is not the Yankees. My concern is the Chicago Cubs and what the Mets need to do to win. That's it. Like, I don't care if you're a Yankees fan. I don't care about that. But stop talking about the Yankees playing good teams, because they're not playing good teams. There's one good team in the American League other than the Yankees, and that's being generous that the Yankees are good. It's the Detroit Tigers. Other than that, they're not. Nobody's good. So again, there's enough Yankee channels to go on. Please do. My God, like please don't let me put you in your place. I don't need to do that. Wait until next week and come on the show. Maybe we'll actually have a conversation. My Lord, people. Like, stop it. Like, nobody expected, not one Met fan saying that he's going to hit 40 home runs as a New York Met. If he hits 35 home runs, I sign up for that every week, every year. That's damn good. I take the 35 home runs. Come on now. Like, you just made yourself look silly. Like, he's one of the Yankee fans that will boo Soto, but he has a player that is MVP caliber during the season and doesn't show up in the playoffs and drop balls and helps the team lose, right? When Juan Soto did everything to try to win. So, and now he's a New York Met. So when Juan Soto goes, 8 for 10 and hits 3 home runs in the series, it has about 8 RBIs, then we'll have a nice conversation to have. So overall, guys, the lineup, not excited about it. I don't like Beatty not being in the lineup. I don't know why you just don't DH him. You could do without Marte in the lineup, even though I'm fine with Marte. I think what his role is with this team, I think it's perfectly fine, but I'd rather see Beatty in the lineup. Now, again, you get Matthew Boyd out early in the game, Beatty's probably going to pinch it for Marte at some point, and he'll probably get in that bat. The same thing like yesterday, or was it yesterday or game 1? I forgot what it was, but I think it was game 1 where Vientos didn't play. Vientos came up and pinch hit when there was a lefty on the mound, like I said. So Beatty's going to be in this ball game. When is that going to be? Who knows? But I'd rather him playing. Like, give the guy the opportunity when he's finally showing something with the bat. And, I didn't like Mendoza's answer when he was like, he goes, yeah, I'll talk to him. But he's got, he'll understand that I like to get the, everybody in the lineup. I like to keep them fresh. But you're trying to win here. Right? You don't need Marte going 0 for 3. And again, Marte can, go 3 for 3 today. Lordy Lord. This guy really tries hard, right? I tell you, changing your name just to come back on the channel is hilarious. But that's okay. It's all right. So, look, I think Beatty's going to be in the ball game at some point during the game. As soon as the righty's on the mound, I think Marte is probably going to be out of the game, and I'm okay with that. But I mean, give the guy a little bit of encouragement here. Like, hey, you've been good. Let me give you the opportunity here to do what you need to do and keep it going. Well, yeah, obviously career-wise, but again, Starlin Marte overall has been better, but Brett Beatty has been better than him over the last couple of games. Like, let's be honest about that. Starlin Marte, do we want to go back to the other day when he took 3 pitches right down the middle? Like, Marte is a guy that is fine. Like, I'm fine with Marte. Like, I have no issue with Marte. But Marte shouldn't be in the lineup over Brett Beatty right now. It just doesn't make sense. Like, give the kid a chance against a lefty. Like, there's no problem with that. Like, if he can't hit lefties if he's not in the lineup. Redman, I agree with you. I like Starlin Marte. I'm one of the big advocates of Starlin Marte. Like, I know people hate Starlin Marte in the cleanup spot, but tell me who you want in the cleanup spot that has been any good. Marte has been the better hitter in the cleanup spot than anybody else on this team that's been in the cleanup spot. So I'm okay with Starlin Marte. I just don't like that Brett Beatty is not in the lineup because he's actually hitting. What do we need? We need people to hit. We're runners on base. Beatty has done that over the last couple of games, or at least yesterday. So I just want to see the guys that are actually hitting on this team, because what have the Mets not done? Hit with runners in scoring position. They were 1 for 10 yesterday. They left 6 men left on base. Like, that's a problem. They got to continue to stop this. This line's got to stop picking it up. It can't always be Lindor, Soto, and Alonso doing everything, because they're eventually going to get a little cold, a little bit of a slump. Lindor's somewhat in a little bit of a slump. Alonso is a little bit in a slump. And again, that's baseball. They've been really good. They're going to go into this little stretch. Soto's picked it up. But you can't have just Soto hitting now and nobody else. The same reason why when Alonso was the only one hitting, right? If Alonso didn't hit in that game, you weren't winning the ball game. It's hard to win with one guy hitting. So, and Brett Beatty's hitting right now. So he should be in the lineup. And again, as soon as a right-hander is in the ball game, Brett Beatty's going to get in that bat. He's probably going to go into the ball game, probably in Marte's DH spot. So it's Dwayne says the Mets are fading. Not really. They're not really. They're 10 games over 500. The lowest they've been, 9 games over 500? They're not faded. All right. It's just that they're actually in a good division, unlike the Yankees. Right? You actually got good teams. Right? There's good teams. The Phillies are really good. The Phillies are just as good as us, right? We swept them, but they're hanging around with us, right? Nobody expected anybody to run away with a division. So if you expected that, then you're clueless. Like, they're a game and a half up in a division. Nobody expected anybody, the Phillies, the Mets, the Braves, to run away with a division. There's 3 really damn good teams that are projected playoff teams. So you expect this division to be close. That's why when you play teams, specifically in the National League, you got to try to beat them, because of the fact that if you don't win this division, you're going to be fighting with a lot of good teams for 3 wildcard spots. Like, would anybody be shocked if it's going to take 90 to 91 wins to be a 3rd wildcard? Because that's the way it's looking. You got the Phillies, who are a 90-plus win team. The Mets are on track for a 90-plus win team. You got the Giants, the Padres, the Dodgers, all are in Arizona, that are all around 90-plus win teams. So you got 6-7 teams here. There's 6 spots. You don't win your division, now there's 3 spots. So you got to beat these teams, right? The Cubs are one of those teams. I think the Cubs are going to win the NL Central because the NL Central is not very good. So you're not going to have to probably worry about them wild card wise, but you don't want to be fighting for a wild card spot with 2 or 3 other NL West teams, because obviously you don't play them a lot. You play them 6 times, sometimes 7. So you got, I think we split with the Diamondbacks. So that's okay. It's a tie. So you got to have the better record against them. But, we're facing the Dodgers soon. We got to win these games. Envy, I'm not going to say it's going to be hard. I mean, it's not going to be easy. But again, nobody expected to run away with this division. If you did, you're not paying attention, right? The Phillies are division champs until you beat them, just like the Braves were for all those years. The Phillies are division champs right now. The Mets are leading right now. I never thought that this was going to be, a runaway of a division. We all would sign on the dotted lines if that's the case. I'd rather have, an easygoing season and win a division by 6-7 games. But come on now. Like, we understand that this is going to be a close division, regardless of the Mets playing extremely well or not. They still haven't had a 3-game losing streak, but the Phillies, I think, only had one 3-game losing streak. So they're hanging around with us. The Braves are, winning 2, losing 1, losing 3, winning 1. So they've been, 6-7 games consistently over the last couple of weeks. But we know the Phillies are going to be around. We know the Mets were going to be around. So we know it was going to be a tough division. We know it was going to be a division where it's going to be a constant battle the entire year. Let's say obviously one of the teams in the NL West are going to win a division. So there's the Giants, there's the Padres, and there's the Diamondbacks. Right now, the Mets and the Diamondbacks are split with the series, and they're tied. So you got to have the better record than them. So now you got to worry about the Padres and the Giants. And that's where, you fall into this line where, all right, you got to have the better record, right? I think we're going to have the better record than anybody in the NL Central, even the Cubs, but the Cubs are going to win the division. So they're going to be irrelevant for the New York Mets. So what you got to look at is the NL West. So if you have a better record than the Arizona Diamondbacks, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be at least the third wildcard team. So that's the way I'm approaching it. So right now, I think the Mets will have a better record than the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, it's still up for debate if you're going to have a better record than the Giants or the Padres. But as we've seen last year, all you got to do is get into the playoffs. Doesn't matter if you win a division or not. The MLB playoffs has been a crapshoot. It's like the NHL playoffs now. You get in, anybody can win, right? The Mets beat the Brewers that a lot of people believe that the Brewers were better than the Mets. And yeah, statistically, record-wise, they were. But you have a bad couple of games, your season's over. So the Mets, nobody gave the Phillies, the Mets a chance in that Phillies series. The Mets dominated that series. They outplayed the Phillies tremendously. But they were the better team. They won their division. Now, we got caught in a juggernaut in the Dodgers where nobody had a chance of beating them. And we figured out to win 2 games, but it clearly wasn't enough. So just keep winning games, right? The Mets are on track to win around 95 games or so. Like they're probably on track to win like 105, but let's not get crazy now. I think anything over 92 wins is going to get you into the playoffs. I think that at least the third wild card. And it might be, winning the division. Because again, if you continue to beat the Phillies, win series against the Phillies, we swept them the first time. When we place them again, you got to win series against them. You want to have that overall better record against the Phillies because all you have to do is tie them and you win the division based on tiebreaker. So, and tiebreakers almost became an issue, and it actually became an issue with the New York Mets, with the Braves, and almost the Diamondbacks. So that's where we are when it comes to the New York Mets. But again, all the Mets have to worry about is what they do on the field. If you win, nobody's catching you, right? Avoid those those extended losing streaks, 3+ game losing streak. That's what they have to avoid. And so far they have. They're the only team in baseball that hasn't lost 3 in a row. The Cubs just lost 3 in a row when the Mets beat them in game 1 because they lost 2 in a row to St. Louis before they came to New York. So that's what you got to keep on doing. Keep on winning series, avoid 3+ game losing streaks, and you're going to be okay. Because if you win, even if you lose a series and you lose 1 out of 3, or you lose 2 out of 3, you still win 1 game. You come back to the next series, you take 2 out of 3, you avoid a losing streak, just like that. Well, Dwayne, that you might be right, but over the first 41 games, they've been one of the better pitchers and better staffs in baseball. Now, again, I'm on board with you. I don't believe they can be sustainable. I mean, we seen it last year, right? When pitchers haven't been good for a while and they miraculously become good, it becomes a problem when they pitch a lot of innings when you're going to need them to get into the dog days of August and then September. So I don't, maybe they'll surprise me throughout the entire year. But eventually the pitching for the New York Mets broke down because every one of those guys throw more innings than they did in many, many years. And then they eventually broke down. Now, Griffin Canning, he threw 175 innings last year. So I don't think he's going to break down. Now, consistency of being good the entire year is still up for debate. He's been good. So can he do that through 30 starts? We'll see. Kodai Senga, he was injured last year. What did he throw? 7 innings last year? Do I believe he can throw 150 innings and still be competitive and still be good? It's up for debate. He hasn't thrown that many in 2 years. So I don't know. Tyler McGill, I think, is trash, as we all saw yesterday. He's going into that mode again where he's going to be inconsistent. So we have to deal with that. David Peterson has been solid. Is he? I don't believe he was going to be as good as last year, but he's been solid. He was our best pitcher, really, if you really look at it. He was one of our better pitchers in the postseason. So we'll see, right? You're going to need Manaea back. That's a guarantee. Are the Mets going to make a trade and try to get a starting pitcher? They better. Because if you're going to rely on this pitching staff to take you to the promised land, I mean, who are you fooling? Like, they might get you through a season. They might help you win 90-plus games. But ultimately, you need somebody to take control over a pitching staff. You need a stopper. You need a guy that you trust every fifth day. I don't trust anybody in this rotation. I really don't. I know they've been really good over the first 40 games of the season, but I still don't trust them. Like, I just don't. Like, I don't want to say it, but I'm not going to lie to you guys and say I feel confident in the starting rotation, because I don't. I don't care how good they've been. These guys have been statistically bad. Griffin Canning has been statistically bad in his entire career. Tyler McGill has been consistently inconsistent his entire career. David Peterson had an excellent season coming back from hip surgery last year. But that doesn't mean that he's going to replicate it. He's been good, but he hasn't been what he was last year. We don't have Manaea. We don't have Montas now. I don't know if Montas would be better than any of these guys. Who knows? But Kodai Senga needs 14 days off just to pitch a game, and then when he goes 6 innings, we're giving him trophies. Like, you get 6 days off, you better go. You should go 7 innings. I mean, you're barely pitching. So you think I'm going to expect him to go 2 times in a series, in a 7-game series, on 5 days rest, and expect him to pitch well? I don't trust it. So do I believe that they can get you through a season? Absolutely. We've seen it last year. A bunch of guys that nobody wanted. Severino had a 7 ERA, a couple, with the Yankees. Came to the Mets, he had, a 4 ERA, just under a 4. He was really good. That's a huge difference. Manaea, he was a bullpen arm for the Giants. Hasn't had this many. He hasn't pitched this well since he was with Oakland 4 or 5 years ago. So I just we'll see, right? I think you can get to a 162-game season because it's been proven. But when you need that guy to step up, who is that going to be? I don't know. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that Manaea has been out most of the year, so he's saving his arm with those innings, and he can go deep and pitch throughout the postseason and be successful. I don't know, but he has to also remain healthy before he even pitches good. He needs to remain healthy. So, this 6-man rotation, I think, is hilarious to me. It's not a successful model at all, because if it was, more teams would do it. And they don't do it because unless you don't have a good rotation, or you're trying to favor somebody, which the Mets are doing, they're trying to favor Kodai Senga and pitch every 6th day, which isn't a model of success because, again, last time I checked, these guys have been pitching well on 5 days rest, and that goes for everybody else. Kodai Senga they're finding ways to give him an extra day, and he's pitching. He's been good. But when you get to that extra day, I need you to be great. Right? Met fans told me he's the ace. Prove it. Right? Guys who are at the top of your rotation, especially your ace, can give you a 7-inning performance. Not 5 2/3, 5 1/3, the occasional 6. Like, dominate a game. Give me 7 solid innings. Shock me and go 8. Like, you should be better than that. Like, what are we expecting here? Like, Griffin Canning can go 6 innings. David Peterson goes 6 innings. That's not special, even though I like that they've been going 6 innings. It helps your bullpen, but you're expected to do more. You're expected to be one of the best pitchers in your rotation. Yet you need to be babied every 6th day and need everything to go right to get on the actual mound and hope that you pitch well. Now, he's been good this year, but aren't we expecting him to be great? Like, that's what I'm expecting. Yeah, Clay Holmes has been better. He's been progressively getting better. But again, when he gets to that 100 pitch mark, 100 inning mark, let me see what he does. Because again, he can throw 60, 70 innings because he's done that as a reliever. But when you're throwing 5 or 6 innings on the regular, and now you're getting up to that 100 and 110, 120, 130, when you get into that, that August month, can he be good and still give you that 6 solid innings? We don't know that yet. You can't tell me that he will, because he has not done it yet. Now, I'm rooting for him. Obviously, I'm rooting for all these guys. So that is what needs to happen with this pitching staff. I think the Mets, now we can talk about Luis Robert all you want. He might help this lineup, sure. But at the end of the day, the biggest flaw that's going to be with this team is the pitching. They're going to break down. Most of these guys hasn't pitched that many innings in a while. Like Griffin Canning has, but he also has not been good. Now, hopefully that changes, and with him limiting his pitches that he throws and throws the ones that the lab and the coaches say these are your best pitches, throw them more. Maybe that's a successful recipe. Maybe that happens for an entire season. Let's hope. But Kodai Senga hasn't thrown more than 7 innings for 2 years. So, let's see, 20 years ago pitcher. Yeah, I'm not asking consistently to go 8 or 9 innings. Like, I know 15 years ago they done that on the regular, right? I'm not expecting that. Like, I'm not asking for that. But it would be nice if one guy can get into the 8th inning and throw a gem. Like, that guy should be Kodai Senga. He gets a 6th day off every freaking time. Like, do it. But again, they've been pitching well. They've been, saving this offense more often than not. And the offense needs to be the leader of this team. This offense needs to dominate. That's what they were put together to be, an offensive team. And the pitching to be good, to be solid. Now, how long that lasts, we'll have to see. But we're talking about Luis Robert, like he's going to be the difference of this team. Now, he'll probably help the lineup, which is good, but we're going to see. And I do understand that people get annoyed that I continue to talk about the pitching, like that's been the problem. But the bullpen broke down because of the pitching of the starters, not going too deep in the games for the first 30-plus games of the season. And then we lost 2 of our lefties. We lost A.J. Minter. We lost Danny Young. And I know nobody's crying about Danny Young, but that was our lefties in the bullpen. Now, Genesis Cabrera comes up, and I think he'll be fine. But it would be nice to have 2 lefties in the bullpen. We had that. Like, losing Minter hurts. Daniel Nunez have not looked good coming back so far. And again, that'll probably take time. He has great stuff. I have faith in him. But that's an issue. And again, the last couple of outings for starters, besides McGill yesterday, They went 6 innings, 3 games in a row. That saved the bullpen. You were using 2 guys or 3 guys. You weren't using 4, 5, 6 guys like they were consistently doing. That helps, especially in this series, as you can see. Now, we used a lot of bullpen guys yesterday because, well, Miguel sucked. And don't let me tell you I told you so. Because he's going to pitch like that for a while. Because that's what he does. It's starting to be the middle of May. That's when McGill starts. After that 8 or 9 starts, that's when he starts to be inconsistent for a while. So I expect him over the next 10 to 15 starts, 10 to 12 starts, be inconsistent. Like, that's what he's done. I don't expect more. I don't expect less. He's inconsistent. Ray, I guess you could say he does look heavy, but, like, we'll see. Like, I don't know. Maybe he bulked up. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Robert's defense has been really good again. See, I hate to judge a guy on one of the worst teams in baseball. Like, would you want to be motivated to go to a game, go to play every day? Now, you're getting paid. I understand that logic. But being one of the worst teams in baseball, being the worst team in history of baseball last year, will you be motivated to go to the park every day and give it your all and play every day and risk getting hurt when you're trying to get a big contract at some point? Because that's what Luis Roberts, every player's trying to get that. Like, it's hard. So I do expect Luis Robert, wherever he might go, hopefully it's the Mets, but wherever he might go, when you put him in a better situation, it revitalizes the guy. It really does. So I do want to, I try to take positives, but I also don't want to hide the fact or not bring up the fact that this team has struggled lineup-wise with runners in scoring position. The pitching, as good starters, as good as it's been, was the issue that made the bullpen get where the bullpen is. The bullpen has been fine, but they were great early on because they were so used. I mean, when your bullpen has just as many innings or more innings than your starters combined, it shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't. And we're going to actually see if this pitching can hold up the entire season or at least through the trade deadline. But, you know, if David Stearns can pull off a Luis Robert trade like now, that would be awesome. Like, I don't know what you would have to give up. I mean, he's been better this year than he was last year. I mean, I'm not sure what he's looking for. I got to look at his contract. I was, you know, doing a video and I was trying to edit stuff and trying to get ready for the live. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm going to look at it and probably break it down in the video that I do later on today. But so if you think Beatty is going to get you an ace, regardless if he's raising his stock, but here's the problem, guys. Nobody's hitting in the Mets lineup. If Brett Beatty starts to hit, why do you want to trade him? Like, I just don't understand that. Like, if he's helping your team and helping your offense, Dwayne Tidwell and others, okay. Like, I gotta look at the report. Like, I glanced through it. Like I said, guys, I woke up, went to the gym, came back, showered, and started get their live together. And I saw the report quickly through my phone, and I'm like, huh. So I didn't really read the full report, but that makes sense. Right? Tidwell, even though he didn't pitch well when he came up, he's still a projected top prospect. And most teams want pitching prospects. Like, that's obvious. Jackson, Beatty, Acuna, Sproat is way too much. I'm not doing that. Right? And it's not even about Sproat because I don't know what the hell he's going to be. And it's not even about Beatty. It's about Acuna. Like, you can't. Acuna is just starting second baseman. Who are you going to put at second base now? Jeff McNeil again? Like, that doesn't make sense. Acuna is a starting second baseman. You can't deplete your starting lineup or deplete your roster when you could just trade prospects. And again, the hell with the prospects. I do not care. If you're not helping his team, I don't care. Like, I'm sick and tired of saying, well, Sproat, when he's ready in 2026, like, who cares? An asteroid might come down from the Earth and we don't have no more baseball. And then we missed out on 2025 because we were afraid to make trade. The Mets have to make a big trade. Make no mistake about it. This is the time where you spend a ton of money on Pete Alonso and Juan Soto, over $300 million payroll, and you're one of the better teams in baseball. You got to make a move. You got to be willing to give up prospects. You can't keep on doing the same nonsense every year of getting the Paul Blackburns of the world and, getting, Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker was fine, but, at some point you got to make the big deal. At some point you got to be willing, right? The Dodgers do it. The Braves do it. The Phillies do it. They all do it. They don't worry about the prospects. When you have a good team, you shouldn't be worrying about prospects to fill a roster. Because if you need prospects to fill your roster, your team's not good enough. Because there's no guarantee these guys are going to be good. There's nobody that's come up. Acuna, Vientos, Beatty, Alvarez, and they ended up being Manny Machado. Salvador Perez, Bryce Harper, Juan Soto. So if they're not going to be that or close to that, if you need prospects to throw on your roster, you're probably not good enough. So you're going to take prospects that are what the definition of a prospect is. That's what they are. It's somebody that has potential, that could be good, but they also could be bad. I don't have time to risk that. That's why people are talking about Luis Robert, and most people want him. You know why? Because he's proven. That's why. You get that guy because he will help your lineup. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at his stats when he plays on one of the worst teams in baseball. It's hard to be motivated. I understand. So get it done. Bring him in. I don't care about these prospects. I really don't. I just don't. So, Redman, I agree. Guys, as long as most of you have been on this channel and hanging out, which I appreciate, how long have I been saying you get the proven player? How many times we had opportunities to do that? 2022. We should have done it last year, right? I understood why, but you ended up being one of the better teams in baseball. You had the best record in baseball from June on. Who knows if you would have got a top-line starter? It could have made the difference in the Dodger series. Maybe one extra game you could have shut them down. Maybe you would have got to a game 6 or a game 7. Right? It's little things like that could put you over the top. The Phillies, the Braves basically lost their whole outfield, made 3 trades for outfield, and it catapulted them during the season when they were this close to selling. And they went on to win a World Series. The Nationals did the same thing in 2019. The Dodgers, I know they had a ton of injuries, but you know what? Jack Flaherty actually pitched in the postseason. They did go out there and get Yamamoto. I know the Mets tried to, but they got him. The game is on Roku, by the way, guys. So if you have a Roku TV or if you have Apple TV, I believe Roku's on there. Or if you don't, you got a smart TV, download the Roku app. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. It's not like Apple TV or, it's on Amazon Prime or all that nonsense. Roku's free. So if you got a Roku TV or you got the Roku app on your TV, just open it up and it's going to turn on. The game's going to be right there. Yeah, Dwayne, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I've said this. I said it from the day the season started. The Mets are going to have to trade for a big-time starter. Or at least somebody who's damn good. Because you're going to need that type of guy. You don't win with a bunch of, Griffin Cannons or, Kodai Sengas. Or, let's be honest, Sean Manaea. You just don't. These are guys that had career seasons, and all of a sudden everybody expects them to be that, which, come on, guys, really? Like, yeah, Oliver, I understand it, but you can't be afraid to make the trade. Like, if it fails, everybody gonna be like, "Oh my god, look what you traded! Oh my god!" Like, this isn't a Javier Baez trade for Pete Crow Armstrong, right? When the Mets were basically a fringe playoff team, the Mets are not a fringe playoff team. They're expected to make the playoffs. There's expectations, so you should be willing to make the team better, right? That was a stupid trade because the Mets were a 500 team at best. They weren't a very good team, so making that deal made no sense. But if you trade a Drew Gilbert or, just top prospects, it's to make one of the better teams in baseball better. That's what you do when you got expectations. The Mets are expected to be a playoff team. The Mets are expected to be a contender for a title. That's what they are. You don't play around and say, well, I don't give these prospects up because, 2027. Who gives a shit? I care about 2025. You got Juan Soto, who's one of the best players in baseball in the playoffs. Pete Alonso has proved to us in the 2 times he's been in the postseason, he is a postseason hitter. Lindor, same thing. You got 3 guys who are postseason performers. Well, you know what? I know Vientos has sucked, but he's done it in the postseason last year. So let's throw Vientos in there for kicks and giggles. You have 4 guys who've been proven to be postseason performers. Why not make that better? Like, it's silly. Anthony, somebody say, shout out to Anthony, subscribe to his channel. I 100% agree, man. 100% agree. Like, yeah, Stearns is hesitant. Like, he's a prospect hugger. Man, that's my favorite word. I used it for years. Stop being a prospect hugger. Right? I think we kind of won that Edwin Diaz trade, even though it was for Robinson Cano as well. When he traded Kelenic. Kelenic's, an average player for the Braves. He's not even with the Mariners who traded for him or got him in that trade. Right? PCA was a bad one. But you don't make that PCA trade when you're an average team. Unless you desperately need it. The Mets really didn't desperately need anything. They weren't very good. So that was a stupid trade. You keep that PCA guy. Now, you weren't good enough, so he could have been your center fielder. But the Mets were so hooked on phonics when it came to Brandon Nimmo, they saw PCA as expendable. But not for a guy like Javi Baez, for a team that was a barely 500 team. Now, that PCA would have been a great guy to have if you wanted to trade for a top-line starter or a big bat. I agree with you guys. Easy, no. No, we cannot get to the trade deadline. We're talking about it now. No, I'm just playing with you. Like, I agree. But, the topic came up because Luis Roberts, I know it was Nightingale, and Heyman said it's not true. But again, how many times can you believe Heyman? And Nightingale is right 1 out of every 100. You never know. That might be the right one. You just never know. So to finish up, guys, the Mets are 25-15. They're playing a rubber game against the Chicago Cubs at Citifield on this Mother's Day. Once again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Make sure, Mets fans, that, and again, it's only it's one guy, I know, but please root for the players that are playing. That's on your team. Don't root against them just because you don't like them. I don't like Brandon Nimmo. I think he sucks. But when he comes up to the plate, I want him to do well. So let's get this win. Let's take a series. And let's introduce the Pirates into town, who have a couple of good young players, but just fired their manager. And we all know the Pittsburgh Pirates have really good pitching. So that's going to be a test, but you should beat that team. So beat the Cubs, win the series. Griffin Canning is pitching in a rubber game once again. So go Griffin. And remember, post-game, after the game, hopefully we're talking about a Mets W, and you know what we're going to do to, show our boy Chris some respect and put some respect on his name. We're going to spend those W's, hopefully, in the post-game, guys. With that said, guys, enjoy the game, guys. Happy Mother's Day to all, and I'll see you on the post-game show after the game, guys. Let's go, Mets.
7 train rumble, headed to the field. Orange and blue vibes, the energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, repping both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire misunderstood. Hear 'em all loud, let the